I'm going to teach you how to play the game Dash. It's a great game, fast-paced, competitive. It's one which keeps students' interest as you are reviewing large quantities of vocabulary. And it's found, first of all, in lesson 1.37 in the last section, where we're reviewing the 60 most commonly used verbs learned in Unit 1. Before you begin the game, the first thing you want to do is to divide your class or your group into two different teams and place team, ideally you'd have team A on your left, team B on your right, because this is how I'm going to organize the windows in a moment for the game. And you also want to establish an order in which the players are going to participate. So the members of the class on team A, you probably would have rows, and you'd go from left to right, I assume, in the first row, and then the second row from left to right. If you have 3 rows, from left to right, and that's the order in which they will participate in the game that needs to be determined before you begin. Now, going to the lesson itself, you'll recognize the game Dash because you'll have 2 different tracks with 2 runners about to begin their sprint. Next to the letter A, click on the first of the tracks, and then next to B, do the same. Click somewhere on that image of the track. And what you've done in the process by clicking on these 2 images is you have downloaded 2 PowerPoint presentations to the download section of your computer. Now what you need to do is to open PowerPoint, if indeed you have it. And now you're going to choose Open Other Presentations, and you go find the download section of or download folder on your computer. And then you'll see within the download section you'll have 2 different PowerPoint presentations. One called, in this particular case, PowerPoint 137 Most Common A, and then the second is Most Common B. I'll open A first, and I have it located on it'll be on the left-hand side of my screen, as you see here. Now I'm going to open another presentation. So I'm going to go to Open. I'm going to go back to the download folder on my computer, and I'm going to open B. And now you see I have 2 separate windows open here, and I'll put B on the right side of my screen, corresponding of course to team B, which hopefully is located on the right side of the classroom in front of me. Now I'm going to open up the first screen. Also, I'll double click on screen number 1, and you see that team number 2, their screen was already open to the first screen, so I'm ready to go. Now we see 2 different PowerPoint presentations side by side, team A and team B. We'll begin with team A first, and what you do at this point is you're going to click on the slideshow button. In so doing, now the image occupies the entire screen. And what happens, you'll begin with your first student in the first row, or however you determine the order should be. And that student will have 5 seconds in which to say the word that corresponds to this picture. In this case, it's a verb. And the student, you'll be the one who counts as the teacher. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,003. They have 5 seconds. 4, 1,005. And if they answer within those 5 seconds, and if they answer correctly, for example, here they say in Spanish, dormir. In French, dormir. In English, sleep. If they answer correctly, you will click on the green arrow and advance 1 space. The green arrow automatically moves the PowerPoint presentation ahead 1 screen. Notice something else that happened, however. If I go back 1 screen, you can see it. Look at the little man at the top of the screen. As you advance 1 screen in the PowerPoint presentation, you see he begins his trek down the track, his race, his dash down the track. By the way, before I go any farther, you notice there's a speaker right here. Now the speaker is really only necessary for students who are playing the game at home, maybe with a friend, for example, because you won't need any confirmation as to what the word properly is, the correct answer for that image is, if you're the teacher of the language. However, the students playing at home might need it. For example, here in screen number 2, and by the way, now you move to the second student in your order, and it's the second student's responsibility within 5 seconds to say the word corresponding to this picture, and hopefully they will say buscar in Spanish, chercher in French, look for in English. If this were a student playing the game at home and they weren't sure if they were correct or not, this one's in Spanish, they would click on the image of the speaker, and here
Buscar.
Buscar, and they would know that they indeed had said the correct thing, okay? So the second student says buscar or chercher or look for, and the answer being correct, we click on the green arrow and move ahead again. Let's do 2 or 3 correctly again. I'll do these just in Spanish. Llegar, correct. So we move ahead. Preguntar, correct. We move ahead. Now, we get to the, in this case, I guess the 5th student, and the 5th student either takes too much time, more than 5 seconds, or they say the wrong verb. For example, this is in Spanish is subir, in French monter, in English go up. Let's say in Spanish they said tomar, for example, and it being incorrect, what you're going to do is instead of clicking on the green arrow, you will click on the red arrow. And notice that right now I'm on screen number 5 in this race of 60 screens to get to the end of this dash. When I click on the red arrow, watch what happens to the number of the screen. I'm now on number 2. I've not gone back 1 screen, I've gone back 3. Now that's important because when this team has their turn again, and by the way, they just lost their turn, making a mistake causes the team to lose their turn. When it's their turn again, you don't want them back in the exact same screen that they missed. It's too easy. They've just heard that the answer was, in this case, number 5. What was it? It was subir, or monter, or go up. They just heard that answer, and so when it comes back to be their turn again, they'll be able to produce the answer easily. You want it to go back farther back, so that's more of a challenge, and they have to start back where they, on screen number 2, where they'd already answered several turns ago, and they'll say the correct answer, hopefully, then the correct answer, then the correct answer. Then they come back to the one that they had said incorrectly the last time, and they try to say it correctly so as to move on. All right, so that's why it moves back 3 spaces. It's infuriating for the team. Puts a little more. There's a little more at stake in providing the right answer, you might say, and especially it provides the opportunity for more repetition, which is the purpose of the game, isn't it? Well, since the team just made a mistake and they just lost their turn, you hit, now this is important, hit the escape button on your keyboard, the ESC button, upper left-hand corner probably of your keyboard. And notice that what happens is Team A's presentation now reduces in size back to the half of the screen that originally occupied, and you can go to Team B now. It's their turn. All right. So you will, at this point, you will again hit the slide view or the slideshow view right down here. I click on it, and now it's Team B's turn, and they will begin to answer, and hopefully they'll be correct. Remember, you can always click on the speaker to hear the correct answer if need be. Let's say they get to number 6 here, screen 6, and this should be in Spanish, mirar, in English, in French, regarder, in English, watch. But they in Spanish say dormir, for example. You're going to click on the red arrow, taking them back from screen 6 to screen 3. You'll hit the escape button so that the 2 teams' presentations are once again visible. It's now Team A's turn again, and the next person in order, after the one who made the last mistake, it will be that person's turn to continue as the team continues its race to the finish line. All right, hopefully you get the idea by now. You'll go back and forth as mistakes are made between Team A and Team B. And you'll hear there'll be lots of repetition, but the fact that it's competitive and the students see the little man advancing on the track keeps their interest relatively well. And by the way, what happens if they are correct for a total of, I believe it's 60 times? I'm advancing, and the little man is going toward the finish line, and finally the team says the last one correctly, in Spanish, estar, in French, être, in English, to be. And this indicates that we are the champions, and the game finishes. If you want to play the game again, you can simply reverse the screens. As far as Team A now would do screen B, or presentation B. Team B would do presentation A, so they're not doing the exact same presentation as they race again, and the review goes on.